And now we have on with us on our live line State Senator Tom OMara. Senator OMara, thank you for joining us today.
Good morning, Brian, on this nice sunny Monday morning. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining us, Senator OMara. You've asked the federal government to help speed up the process of getting aid to farmers. How's that going? What's the latest there?
Well, I think we're making progress there. You know, it's one of our major areas of concern is our farmers right now. I'm very encouraged by the recent news of President Trump that Secretary Perdue is working on a program to purchase hundreds of millions of dollars of farm products, dairy, produce, meats to get into our food banks for distribution. Myself and a bunch of my colleagues in the Senate, we wrote to Secretary Perdue last week or the week before, encouraging to get this moving. We need to get the Congress moving to get the next round of stimulus moving. And to get things going for our farms, more in the PPP program for our small businesses. I worked a food bank drive-through in Chemung County last Friday. They were serving. They had registered 500 families for food to come through. It was supposed to run from 10 to 1. I got there about 9:15. Cars were already lined up all the way through the fairgrounds and a mile down the road outside the fairgrounds. So we started, the food bank was started early. There were 4 stations where families were getting about 2 weeks' worth of food in their vehicle. It went nonstop from that point until close to 2 o'clock in the afternoon, without a break, in cars coming through. The need for individuals in our community is huge, and agricultural products are a big part of that. And this program that's being proposed to get hundreds of millions of dollars of these products purchased from our farmers is going to go to help them a long ways. I'm also working with state ag and markets to see if there's some way we can get some use of raw milk going, so that these dairy farms aren't just dumping their product. There's some way that can be utilized within the community, and thinking outside the box on how we can do that. I've seen a cheese company in the Finger Lakes regions, Lively Run, purchasing milk, I think for very low cost, but at least purchasing it from farmers and making excess cheese that they're going to donate to the community and to food banks. So I think everybody's working in this together to provide for those in need and to hopefully provide markets for our farming community and other small businesses that are in the food distribution industry.
Senator OMara, the governor said Saturday that parts of upstate might see their economies open sooner than the downstate area as far as getting the economies going again in New York State. Your thoughts?
I'm very encouraged by that. I think it's time that we start looking in areas where the COVID activity has been very minimal. In getting certain industries going, industries that can be done reasonably safely with distancing precautions in place. Industries, I think we've got to start looking at not just what's essential and non-essential as far as businesses go, and looking at businesses that can reasonably open safely and get people back to work, where there's social distancing available in the workplace, where there's minimal public and customer contact within the workplace, and industries like construction, whether it's essential or not. How come it's okay and safe to have construction workers working on an affordable housing project, but not a market value housing project or home building or commercial building space? There's construction sites all over the state that are dormant right now for no reason. I think these individuals, these workers, can get back to work under safe circumstances with appropriate distancing. And both President Trump and Governor Cuomo have talked about this in recent days. I think it's time where it's appropriate and can be done reasonably safely. We need to start moving forward and getting our furloughed workers back to work. We need to be looking at situations in manufacturing where a lot of manufacturing is spread out inside the facilities, inside the factories, and can be done, I think, safely with reasonable precautions being taken with face masks. We've got to, in certain areas, allow our hospitals to start doing elective surgery. We've got hospitals that have had massive layoffs across upstate New York, furloughed workers, nurses, doctors taking pay cuts, administrators taking pay cuts because they're not allowed to do anything. And hospitals that have no or one or two patients in them, we've got to get things opened up in some economic activity. We can't keep this going, or we're going to be having an economy that's on par with what we read about in Grapes of Wrath when we were in high school.
Good point. Talking to Senator O'Mara. WGRZ and Empire Report New York are reporting this morning that there are protests planned in Buffalo scheduled for today in downtown Buffalo against the shutdown. Your thoughts on a protest at this point?
Well, I understand the concerns of individuals on restrictions on our liberties and infringements upon our rights. Some of these activities that have been shut down, precluded, are above and beyond, in my opinion, what is reasonably necessary to protect the public health. Other states have frankly gone a little bit further than New York has. We've seen big issues in Michigan where those protests were. I do not condone these protests in any way, shape, or form. And those types of large public gatherings, I don't believe are safe at this point in time. But on the other hand, I'm sympathetic to those liberties and rights that are being infringed. I see no reason in New York State that our gun shops are closed, that the pistol permitting process is not moving forward through our courts. These things can be done reasonably. I was strongly advocating last week in an area of allowing our golf courses to reopen, allowing boat launches and marinas to reopen, because I believe those activities can be done reasonably safely with proper social distancing that everybody talks about, from Dr. Fauci and Dr. Birx on down, that's appropriate. And, we saw some success. We got the governor last week to do an about face on both golf courses and marinas and boat launches. So those activities now are allowed again, as long as people don't abuse it and start, hanging out in the parking lot before or after having a few beers with each other. That kind of activity can't go on. But for individuals to be out taking a walk around a golf course, hitting a little white ball around, is not exactly my thing, but a lot of people enjoy that, and that goes a long ways with fishing and those types of activities that give people some mental stress release, which is very important these days.
We're going to take a quick break talking to State Senator Tom OMara. Stay with us.
Lemax Pro Wrench Tire and Auto Center and Body Shop are open for business 6 days a week during this corona crisis. Think of Lemax for new tire sales, major and minor repairs, and the best fast oil change in Hornell for only $19.95. Lemax has served the Hornell area for 50 years and will continue to serve the motoring public with great values on cars and trucks. Their Pro Wrench Body Shop Manager, Chris Doran, will handle your auto body work quickly and compile all insurance claims completely. Buy your next quality used car, truck, or van at LemaxAutomax.com. That's LemaxAutomax.com. Thank you from everyone at Lemax, 193 Seneca Street, Hornell. Phone 324-4440. That's 324-4440 for Lemax, Pro Wrench Tire and Auto Center and Body Shop.
Checking in now with meteorologist Rob Carroll, and he's saying that this week we're looking at the chance of both thunderstorms and snow showers again, Rob.
Snow showers are a possibility, Brian. They're in the forecast after the thunderstorms. They're coming our way tomorrow. Today actually doesn't look like too bad of a day. Got a little bit of patchy cloudiness out there this morning, Brian. We are on the northwestern fringe of a powerful storm system. Brought all types of severe weather to the deep south, the Gulf Coast last night. It's moving off the coast of the Carolinas this morning, and it's just going to produce some high and mid-level cloudiness. We should be mostly sunny through it today. Temperatures up to about 50 to 55. Sunrise this morning was at 6:19. It'll set tonight at 7:59. Last sunset before 8 o'clock for a while. That's the good news. Tonight, though, we're going to start to cloud up. We've got a frontal boundary heading our way from the western Great Lakes. It'll lead to some showers after midnight. We're down to about 33. It's a potent system, so there's going to be some heavy showers tomorrow. There may be a passing thunderstorm. Breezy, temperatures are only 45 to 50. Cold air comes in behind the system tomorrow night. Any precipitation changes over to snow showers. We're windy, we're 25 to 30. And then maybe an early flurry Wednesday, Brian, otherwise partly sunny and chilly, 40 to 45. More showers head our way for Thursday and Friday.
Back with State Senator Tom OMara. Senator OMara in Steuben County on COVID-19, 195 confirmed cases now in Steuben County. Sorry to report, 27 have died of it, mostly around the Canisteo Valley area, and there were several deaths just this weekend, Senator, in the Hornell area.
Hornell area in the valley has been a real hot spot in upstate New York. And it's been primarily focused around the nursing homes. And it's been tragic the way this epidemic has raced through nursing homes. And it's the worst part of it. It's the most dangerous part of it, in my opinion, where we have those types of residential settings. And we've seen it across the country and across New York State, with nursing homes being very hard hit. I really have to applaud the Steuben County Department of Health for their very active role in both the Hornell Garden situation and now, more recently this week, getting involved with the Elderwood and Taylor facilities, the one over in Bath, in full testing of all staff and all residents. The county health department, county manager Jack Wheeler, were really pushing the State Department of Health to get involved in it. The State Department of Health did come and get involved in the testing at the Hornell Gardens, and the numbers were astounding as far as the number of positive cases there. It resulted in about half the residents that were not positive being moved to a facility over in Waterloo with the same owner. And fortunately, this week, the results that came back from the testing at Elderwood, while there were several positives, it wasn't to the high percentage that it was at Hornell Garden. So that's some good news. But, I think over a third of the cases and deaths in Steuben County are from our nursing homes, which is very concerning. but the national average, and I think across the state, is roughly 25% of all the deaths have come out of nursing homes. So it's a very, very significant area that we've got to keep a tight thumb on and really monitor very actively.
We reported that you work closely with Mayor John Buckley and many local and county and state officials on helping out the Hornell Garden situation. Senator OMara, the latest on Hornell Garden. So we reported over the weekend that Steuben County Manager Jack Wheeler says that Steuben County gave to Hornell Gardens 450 face shields, 3,500 gloves, 400 gowns, 3,000 surgical masks, and 20 gallons of hand sanitizer. Again, all that to Hornell Garden. So hopefully that will help them out as that seemed to be a big issue for them.
It's a huge issue, and as much of an issue as it is there, it is across the state. And it's been very difficult getting PPEs, getting test kits. And I got to tell you, our local representation across the southern tier always works extremely well together, and that's exactly what's happening in this circumstance. Working with Congressman Tom Reed, Assemblywoman Marge Burns, Assemblyman Phil Palmisano, myself, Mayor Buckley has been acutely involved in the concerns in Hornell directly. The county health department, as I've said several times already, my hat's off to them for the work they're doing day in and day out with really a very thin staff there.
Senator OMara, you've asked Governor Cuomo to make corrections officers essential workers. I understood the purpose of that was to give the corrections officers a raise. Was kind of surprised when I heard that story that you were asking the state to make corrections officers essential workers. I would just assume they would be considered essential workers. Your thoughts there?
No, Brian, they are essential workers. My point there is that the governor came out 3 or 4 weeks ago and announced that the raises due to begin April 1st for all public employees in New York State, or the different bargaining units. Everybody is roughly due a 2% raise, but due to our fiscal situation in New York State, which is not good, we're taking a huge hit financially with loss of tax revenues throughout this. But correction officers are and have been essential workers. My point in that with the raises, and I'm totally fine with the governor freezing the raises for workers that are able to work remotely, workers that are not on the front lines, that are working and can work in reasonably safe situations. But those workers, those essential workers that are on the front lines, like nurses in state facilities, like correction officers in our prisons, they're required to go to work. And particularly with our correction officers, they were not issued PPEs. In fact, for a couple of weeks, they weren't even allowed to wear their own masks if they brought them in. We fought that and got that changed so that they could wear PPEs, but I believe these individuals working on the front lines deserve to get that raise that was bargained for, that was contracted for, and they're out there really putting their lives on the line, going to these work in the prison day in and day out. They're still, to my reports I get from corrections officers, they're still moving hundreds of inmates throughout the prison system, or throughout the prison facility each day, to cafeteria, to recreation. And my last understanding was they're even taking inmates to church services within the facility on Saturdays and Sundays, which us as free, law-abiding citizens aren't even allowed to do these days. But correction officers are still herding these inmates around at great risk to themselves, and they go home and have contact with their spouses, with their children, and they're due a raise for doing this hazard activity that they're doing.
Agreed. State Senator Tom OMara, down to the last 60 seconds or so. Any final thoughts or anything I did not bring up you wanted to discuss?
Oh, boy. There's so much. I got to say that I think we've been doing a great job around our region with the social distancing. People are taking the restrictions on them very seriously, by and large, and I encourage people to continue to do so. Even if, as I would like to see, we get some opening of our economy and some businesses being able to go back to work, getting workers back to work, there's still going to need to be very serious social distancing, not just on the job, but to and from work, when you're off of work, if you're fortunate enough to be able to go back to work. And the vulnerable populations are still going to have to, for a long time, take significant precautions in protecting themselves until we have this crisis well under hand.
State Senator Tom OMara on with us live today. I want to thank you so much for calling in, Senator.
Thanks for having me, Brian. I really appreciate it, and everybody have a great day.